2024 began the long-form unscripted era. We're going to see the biggest CEOs in the world clamoring to get onto this podcast and other podcasts like it because they know that the long-form unscripted podcast is the only way to build a personal brand.
The evolution in today's world is who knows you. Because all of a sudden, when you walk into a room and people know your brand from the podcast, the acceleration of trust and commerce is off the chain. I mean, you can go from, I've never met you, to like, we're signing a deal 3 days later because all the heavy lifting was done in the content.
None of you can remember the last thing you saw on Instagram. You can't remember the last photo you tapped, the last reel you watched, but all of you can remember the last movie you watched on Netflix. And I think that's the perfect example of how reach can be quite meaningless, but depth can be incredibly impactful. It stays with you.
If you're a real business person like I am, spending 3 hours a day to make videos is not gonna work for you. You got family and you got a business to run. But can you do a podcast once a week strictly for the 13 pieces of content it produces for you because you film it and post-produce it? All of you can, because I'm busy as fuck and I do it.
Everything you want in business and in life stands behind your reach and reputation. If you want more clients, more opportunity, more fun and freedom in your business, then you have to take content creation seriously because that is what builds your reach and reputation in 2025. And I know this because I've worked with literally some of the biggest names in entrepreneurship. I've worked with Alex Moses, Sam Ovens with school.com at the school games. I worked with 7-figure influencers and 8-figure coaches all around the process of creating content. And nothing makes content creation simpler, more fun, more authentic than a podcast. And so what I want to walk you through in today's video is why every single entrepreneur should have a podcast on YouTube. I'm going to dive into critical reasons how you can use a video podcast on YouTube to amplify your personal brand, to attract your ideal clients and actually pre-sell them so sales become effortless. So if that sounds like you, if you want to learn how you can use podcasting in 2025 and in your business, then you want to stick around for this video. Now, quickly, if you don't know who I am, my name is Kyler Miles. I like to refer to myself as a creator, an entrepreneur, but the most important thing, or most thing I'm proud of, is I'm a husband. I am a stepfather. I'm a dog dad. And most recently, my wife is 8 months pregnant. We're about to give birth. Well, she's about to give birth to our baby girl in August. And so I'm super pumped and excited for that. Getting as much sleep as I can before and doing this before then, because I know my life is going to be crazy. But, you know, for the sake of this video, if you want to learn more about me, I started creating content back in 2019. I moved across the country to be with my girlfriend, who's now my wife. It was this unique opportunity where I had a chance to reinvent myself. I had this clean slate. No one knew who I was. And so I've always wanted to be a creator. From a very young age, I've always loved acting and being in film, and my uncles and on my mom's side, they're all in that industry. So I've got a very early kind of exposure to that space. And so I've always wanted to do that. You know, just make a long story short, I ended up working for a startup as a content creator with like no experience, but I was just really, really hungry to learn, and they saw that. And I think it really was a good decision because fast forward 2 years later, that startup grew significantly, grew to hundreds of employees, landed 6 to 7-figure deals, all because they asked me to start a podcast. And so here's me, not knowing much about content creation in general, asking me to start a podcast. And it was really crazy. Like, I had to learn about lighting, about audio, about video, all in the span of a few months. And not even that, in 1 month, because they're like, hey, we want to launch a podcast next month. And it was like already mid-month, I think, when I started in like maybe February or March or whatever. And it was really crazy because starting this really amplified it and kicked off my journey into content creation, into podcasting, into, you know, building a business. And fast forward a few years later, after I grew up the company from content creator to brand director, pretty much, I left the job to start my own business. And I was helping people repurpose long form content, YouTube videos and podcasts into short form because that was huge at the time, and scaled that business past $100,000, which is amazing. But there's a lot of challenges with that, which I'm not going to go into in this video. But the important part of the story that I want you to illustrate is that I got tremendous opportunity to work with the people I said, school.com, 7-figure influencers, 8-figure coaches, because I had a personal brand around content creation. How I got the opportunity to go to school was because literally I interviewed someone who I didn't know about school at the time, but I knew they were a successful entrepreneur and they were in my local area. And I really just reached out to them asking them to come on my show. And that single decision led me to meet people and network my way into being invited to the school games for 6 months straight. So they flew me out to Las Vegas and I filmed and interviewed all the winners of the school games. So imagine the opportunity from just one single DM. So the purpose of this I want to share with you is that the first reason why you need to start a podcast is because it is the number one tool to build your personal brand and skyrocket it. Here's me. I have less than 2,000 followers on Instagram, less than 100 Facebook, followers on my Facebook page, less than 500 subscribers on YouTube. And yet I'm working with literal millionaires, creating content, interviewing them, asking them questions. And so the opportunity that podcasts had for me was it just blew up my personal brand, not in the sense of fame and yes, fortune in the sense, but really what it did is it helped me to get known, liked, and trusted. People knew me as the podcast guy. People knew me and liked me in the questions I asked. And I started getting people reaching out to me. That was one of the best podcasts I've ever had. I've had people actually offer me money to interview them. And this is because podcasting allows people to go deep with you, allows people to understand who you are. Like I said, people love that I'm a Canadian. People love that I have a little dog named Rocco. People love that I love hiking and dancing, and they love watching my wife and I out on my Instagram and all that kind of stuff. They get to know who I am as a person, which is really hard if you're just doing short form content. And they go to like this person and like what I was selling. So it's very easy for me to get clients because people knew me, who I was, and people wanted to refer me. And the other thing was it built significant trust because I'm sitting across from someone for an hour. So imagine you trying to create an hour's worth of Instagram Reels. You have to create a lot of Instagram Reels to do that. So the power of the personal brand is because they get so much trust with me. Not only is the person, who I'm interviewing is getting trust with me, but the audience as well, because the audience is the third person in that conversation. And so this was such an amazing tool, not only to create opportunities, but to build my personal brand. And again, it's not to become famous or go viral. It's to build a strong brand, which people know, like, and trust you. They know what you do. They like what you do in your work, and they can trust that you can get them results. And that was all because of this medium called podcasting, right? I don't have a big podcast, but people who are in my world know that I can make shit happen. Now, in order for us to look at podcasting as, let's say, a sales tool, how did I use this to actually grow my business? Let's talk about that for a second. This is the second reason why you should start a podcast, is because podcasting allows you to pre-sell clients. So I came from a sales background. I went to school for sales and marketing. I got a diploma at BCIT. If you know BCIT, put it in the comments. I thought I was going to have a career in sales, and I did a number of sales jobs. And I learned this from my mentor, Dan Bolton, and it was about selling, right? But I've actually used this in my marketing. And the funny thing is, people need to be sold on 3 things in order to buy from you. So I'm going to explain this first and then how podcasting plays into this. So in order for someone to give you money, they have to be sold on 3 things. Number 1, they have to be sold on you. They have to be sold on the messenger, right? So they have to know who you are. Are you trustworthy? Do I like this person? Is this person do I vibe with this person? So if I'm a very extroverted guy, which you probably can tell from this video, right? And you're more introverted, calm, quiet, you may not vibe with my energy, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being extroverted or introverted. It's just a different vibe. It's a different way of doing things. I'm very high energy type person, and someone with low energy is not probably the best suited for me, right? So, and that's okay. So people get to know you very, very deeply. So the first sale you have to make is, am I sold on you, on who you are and your credibility and what you like, what you believe? If I'm an atheist and you're a Christian or a Catholic or any type of religion, you may not vibe with me. Or if I do believe in God, I do believe in Christ, and you are like that, then you're more likely to be sold on me versus someone else. So again, this helps me to stand out. So the first sale you have to make is the sale in you, in the messenger. The second sale you have to make in order for someone to buy is you have to be sold on your way, aka your message. So my message, my way of doing things is through podcasting, through video podcasts specifically. Someone else's way could be through ads. Someone else's way could be through webinars. Not saying one is better than the other, but certain people will be gravitated to your way versus someone else's way. So here's a perfect example of this, okay? Let's say I was a fitness coach and I was selling you weight loss. That's the goal, right? Which isn't unique, right? There's everyone in the fitness niche is selling weight loss to some degree, but they all have different ways of doing it. There's the carnivore diet, there's fasting, there's taking Ozempic, and certain people will gravitate to the way that you do things, aka your message. How do you get to said result, which is the transformation? I get you to said result through A, B, C, D. So people will gravitate and be sold, yes, on you, but also on your way of doing things. And so this is huge. This is very important in a podcast or any type of marketing, is because yes, you're selling the goal, but you're also selling the way to the goal. My business partner, Dan Bolton, we created content together that helped him to generate over $1 million in profit in 2023. Not only did he sell the outcome of scaling to $100,000 per month, that's like the outcome that he helps his clients with, he also sold them in the way that was, and do it in 20 hours or less. So this is very important because there's other coaches and consultants out there selling the same thing as Dan, but doing it a completely different way, saying do it through webinars, do it through ads, do it through YouTube, do it through podcasts. So there's different ways to get to the result, and that's going to be selling them on your way. And the last and third and the least important one is the logistics, is the selling on them on your offer. This is like, will this even work for me? So if I'm sold on you, sold on your way, now I look at your offer, it's like, okay, does this fit? Is this the right timing? Is it a done for you? Is it coaching? Like, this is just now the logistics of the offer. And so the beautiful thing about a podcast, why podcast pre-sells clients, is because it does two of the three things that gets clients to buy. Podcast helps you to pre-sell clients because of those two reasons. And why I bring this up is because trust is at an all-time low. We are in a trust recession, meaning more and more people are not trusting what you say and hear online. With AI coming up with super realistic video, it is crazy how we can trust anything on the internet now. And with all the different, false information out there. And of course, people getting burned by agencies and coaches and scam artists. And so trust is at an all-time low. And so trust is the new funnel in 2025. And so why a podcast pre-sells them is because a podcasting platform allows them to go deep with you, allows them to be sold on you, sold on your way, and sold on your offer if you talk about that in the show. So that is how a podcast can pre-sell people. This is another point I want to bring up, right? So I hope you're, writing this down. Google did a study that it takes 7 hours of consumption for someone to build enough trust for them to buy. 7 hours. This is called the 7-11-4 rule. The rule is actually 7 hours across 11 touch points and 4 different platforms. But the main part I want to focus on is the 7-hour rule. So if someone consumes 7 hours worth of content, they are 10 times more likely to buy because they trust you 10 times more. This is why trust is the new funnel. So a podcast, you can reach 7 hours in like 7 to 11 episodes, right? Because an average podcast could be anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours long. So they're longer form content. So it's much easier to get to 7 hours. Now, if you do the math, if you're doing short form, it would take you 933 reels to get to 7 hours. So you tell me which is easier, 900 videos or 7 to 11 long form videos. I think you know the answer. So the power of the 7-hour rule is that the more content they consume, the more sold they are in you, your message, and your offer. This leads to my third reason why every single entrepreneur should have a podcast, is because it makes your funnel flow. A lot of the challenges that I witnessed when I was working with school and I was talking to these amazing entrepreneurs is that most funnels either are non-existent or they're leaky funnels, meaning they're not a very strategic path. And what I learned was that the perfect funnel, the best funnel, is one that creates a journey of easy yeses. So a journey of easy yeses isn't going like asking for them to, let's say I'm at a bar and we walk up to you and say, hey, want to get married? That's what most entrepreneurs do, is they run an ad or they post a piece of content to a landing page, basically asking them to buy their $5,000 product. Basically, you're asking them to marry you in the first date, which is, as we all know, it's not a very smart way, right? If you do it enough times, I'm sure you'll get someone to say yes, but it's not a very good use of your time or a smart business decision. The better one is you want to create a journey of easy yeses. And how a podcast allows you to create a journey of easy yeses, aka a funnel that flows, is because of the binge factor. So podcasts are kind of like Netflix, right? People can binge podcasts. Like, I don't know about you, last time I went to the city, I live like an hour and a half away from the city. Every single time I put on a podcast. And I always like to find new people. So like I gained so much trust because I just spent an hour and a half with this person, listening to them on a road trip. So think of how much more sold I am into them versus if I just watched an Instagram reel. Like, the idea of me watching Instagram reel and watching and sitting and listening and pondering and really going deep with a podcast is vastly different. A podcast can tremendously help your funnel flow. And I want to think of the funnel, I like to simplify your funnel as like cold, warm, hot, and sold. So in order to get someone from cold to sold, they have to consume more content, right? 7-hour rule. So how do we get them to consume more content? Well, we have to create that binge factor. So we have to create episodes that allow them to binge us. And that's why a podcast is so important. It's binge worthy. It's like Netflix. Once you start a show that you really, really love, it's hard for you to like stop. Like, I've like waited till like 3-4 a.m. because I couldn't press pause. I had to know what was coming next. And that's what a podcast can do. It can make your funnel flow, it can blow up your personal brand, and it can pre-sell your clients. Something interesting that I also discovered when I first started creating a podcast, and this is going to lead to my fourth reason why you should start one, is because so many of the problems that I saw entrepreneurs have, that I see entrepreneurs have, is a couple things. Number one, they don't know what to talk about. They don't know what content to create, and they don't have the time or the energy to do it. So when you're looking at like content creation, they're thinking like, okay, I need to spend like months and months on writing scripts and coming up with, these ideas, and it's all this like effort and energy. And so the unique thing that podcast does, it creates leverage in multiple different ways. This is the fourth reason why you should start one, is because number one, it creates leverage because you can turn a simple conversation into endless amounts of content, right? And Gary Vee did this best. He said, document, don't create. He says the easiest way to start creating content is to not create content, is to capture, is to document the content. So what he does is he documents his big conversations, podcasts, keynote speaking, all that stuff, right? And then what he does then is repurpose them into shorter piece of content or micro content. So in hour-long podcast, right, there's probably a few moments in there that we can turn into long-form articles, into YouTube videos, into emails, all sorts of stuff, right, into other episodes. And I've seen this happen. Like, I've done this literally in my agency. People paid me thousands of dollars a month just to repurpose it into short form and micro content. So micro content, I'm thinking 15 minutes or less. It's like not short, like a minute to 3 minutes. So it's like 3 to 15 minutes, right? You could push it to 20, but like really 3 to, or let's say 5 to 15 to make it really simple. Minutes is micro content. So if it's an article that takes 5 to 15 minutes to read, that would be micro content, email, or a YouTube video, right? And that would be extracted from the podcast and turned into a new piece of content. And to go for even further, we've been able to pull out 30 different reels, Instagram reels, from a 1-hour podcast. 30 different reels is 30 posts. That's a month worth of content on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, even LinkedIn now. 30 posts from one conversation. Having one conversation a month amplifies your reach and reputation, right? And saves you a significant amount of time. This is why it creates leverage. The most successful entrepreneurs that I've met focus on leveraged activity. What gives them the most leverage? What is the least amount of work that gives the most amount of value? So one conversation that outputs several high-end pieces of content is great leverage. The other thing is leverage in opportunity. So as I shared before, I cold DM someone, got them on my podcast, and then through that one relationship got me to work with School.com, meet Alex Ramosi, meet Sam Ovens, and grow my clients, because all of a sudden I was in a pool of people who are all succeeding. And guess what? They all want to create content. And guess who's the guy who creates content? That's right, me. So I didn't even have to market my business because I had such a great network of people who wanted to work with me, right? So this is the power of how one conversation can really amplify and grow your business because of all the things I said, because it builds your personal brand. People know, like, and trust you. It pre-sells clients because you sell them the 3 things they need in order to buy. It makes your funnel flow because of the 7-11-4 rule, right? All these play into why you need a podcast in 2025. Point number 5 has to do with something Dan Martell said. Everything you want in business and in life stands behind your reach and reputation. And so podcast, as I've established, builds tremendous reputation, builds deep and strong personal brands, which makes attracting and selling clients easy, right? So I think we're all agreeing on that. Now, how does it amplify your reach? Well, there's 2 different ways it amplifies your reach, and I'm going to walk you through how. Podcasts alone on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, there's no ability to get discovered on those platforms unless you repurpose your content. So how traditional podcasts get discovered is through networking, through guests, which is great because if I go on your show now and you have 1,000-person audience, now 1,000 new people discovered me, right? So that is one way that podcasts can amplify your reach, but it's very, it's per one conversation, right? So it's a little bit slow, still very, very powerful. But how they used to do was podcasts would get discovered through short form. So we'd create short form content. So we'd have a platform to discover and generate traffic, and then another platform to build deep relationship, build deep trust. So there's 2 platforms in the funnel, short form to long form. Now, after tremendous studies have come out and people saying that doesn't actually happen. People don't necessarily go from short to long as we originally thought. And there's been studies to show this, right? What is the best way to actually generate traffic and trust is to have your podcast on YouTube. And here is why. YouTube is the 2nd largest search engine in the world, all right? It's owned by Google. ChatGPT, who searches the net on Google and YouTube to find, to find you the answers, right? So everything that you want and how you get discovered is on YouTube. So how podcasts today are getting discovered is more on YouTube than the short form itself. And I'll blow this up right here. YouTube came out that more people are watching podcasts on YouTube than Spotify and Apple Podcasts. This stat blows my mind. The platforms that are necessarily geared towards podcasts, Spotify and Apple, the most popular ones, do not outbeat YouTube. YouTube is number 1 for watching and listening to podcasts. YouTube helps you to get traffic, get discovered, and build trust. It is the one platform that can do your reach and reputation. So as Dan Martell said, everything you want in your business stands behind your reach and reputation. So why wouldn't you put your podcast on YouTube? Why wouldn't you have the ability to get discovered and build trust all in one platform? Instead of trying to post on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, all these different platforms, you can just focus on one platform, that is YouTube. It has short form, it has long form, it can get discovered and build trust all in one simple platform. So if I had to choose between them, I would only choose YouTube because it could do everything. The only thing it's missing is direct communication, right? It's like DMs. If it had DMs, it would literally be the perfect platform, right? So it's not all pro. Like I still use Instagram and Facebook quite a bit in my business. Like, don't get me wrong, because of the DM feature, but 99% of my effort is to growing my YouTube podcast because of the reach and reputation factor. Now, if you're still here and you're wondering, okay, Kyler, this all makes sense, and you still want more convincing, here's a few more reasons why you should start a podcast. Number 1, you're going to get paid to market your business. I don't know if you know this, but platforms are paying you to post content. YouTube pays you to post content. I have clients getting paid tens of thousands of dollars to market their business. So instead of giving your money to Zuck, to Meta, to Facebook and Instagram, they're actually getting paid by the platform to promote their own stuff. So it's not like they're not using it to make money. It's just to fuel their marketing. So what I charge them, they make from the videos I help them create. Isn't that crazy? Like that alone is crazy. Like, don't you want to get paid to market your own business? That's freaking phenomenal. The other extra point is that you're getting paid to learn. So the coolest thing that I love podcasts, especially when I first started in entrepreneurship, was I was getting coaching for free. It was crazy. I would ask them questions because I know my audience had similar questions. So I'd ask them questions like, okay, what would you do if you're in my shoes, right? So I was getting coached for free on a podcast because they knew the value of the podcast. They knew that, hey, this is going to be chopped up, that I can use this for marketing material, maybe ads, right? Here's a side note, crazy note, is have you seen ads nowadays? Half of them are like podcast clips. Yeah, because podcasts are everywhere, okay? Everyone wants to have a podcast, listen to podcasts, be on podcasts. It's crazy. So the added benefit to getting paid to market your business, you also get paid to learn. You get to learn from your guests, right? And even if it's like a coworker, there's so much that you can learn in sitting down, having a conversation and documenting it. It's the easiest way to create content in 2025. There's no other easier way. I've tried scripting. I've tried, so many different mediums. It's just so difficult. Like I find scripting the most painful thing ever. And I stopped doing that in my business because I just wasn't getting the results. Because now with ChatGPT, we're all sounding so similar. Podcasts are the only way to stand out and be authentic, which is what you need in today's day and age. Okay, now I bet you're wondering, will this work for me? Well, let me tell you who a podcast is best served for. In my opinion, a podcast is great for every single entrepreneur. I don't care if you're doing plumbing or if you're selling coaching or if you're selling a SaaS or whatever. It can work in your niche, and I bet it could, right? Put in the comments down below your niche, and I can tell you how it can work. But if you want to know who it's best served for, like the people who this would be a perfect fit, right? A square and a square, it just fits perfectly, then I'm going to walk you through the characteristics and kind of who this is best served for, okay? Number one is if you're an expert and you have limited time. As I shared before, if you are running a business, right, and your time is very valuable, it's very hard to find time to create content. Sketching out 1 hour a week to have a conversation with a coworker, with a prospective client is very high ROI. Why? Because if it's a prospective client, well, you could sell them. If it's a coworker, it's great. You are creating assets to market your business. This is a very important thing. All you need is to really dedicate 1 hour a week to make this work. If you are someone with limited time, podcast is great for you. Number two, if you want to make an impact and you're not here to go viral, there are some big podcasts in the world, talking The Joe Rogan Show, Call Her Daddy, Diary CEO. There's some amazing podcasts out there. But if you're here because you want to go viral, this is not the medium for you. There's someone else out there better suited, right? Podcast is not the medium to go viral. The clips could go viral, and I help the coach do that, right? Get millions of views on their TikTok and drive traffic to their podcast and to the business. And so it's not that it can't work, but if you're here for that, there are better solutions out there. Go find them. Three, if you hate scripting and hate overthinking your content, like if you are an overthinker, if you're like, man, I spent hours and hours thinking about what to say, how to say it, writing scripts, a podcast is perfect because I spent about 30 to 45 minutes prepping, points of what I want to say, which is here on the screen here. And then I press record. And as you can tell, this is not scripted. This is very off the cuff, as much straight to the point as I can do. But it's perfect for those type of people. If you don't want to read a script, you don't want to overthink your content, you want to plan. You don't want to just like go off in crazy land. You want to plan what you're going to say, or at least the points you want to get across. But this is the easiest way to start creating content. And that's the whole problem with a lot of coaches is they have trouble starting. They have trouble pressing record. And setting up a conversation is the easiest way. So if you're nervous, you're like, I don't know what to say. My mouth gets all foamy and dry. Well, talk to someone. Have someone off camera or have someone on camera with you where you can just have a conversation, because I can guarantee you within 3 minutes you'll forget the camera's there. So if you're someone who hates scripting and you're overthinking your content, this is perfect for you. Number four, if you feel like you're the best kept secret, this is 100% for you, because podcasts in nature are very niche specific. There's only a few podcasts that can really talk about everything, right? I hope if you start a podcast and we talk about everything, it's not going to go well. It's not going to go far, right? Most podcasts that I listen to are very niche specific. It's about marketing or about self-development or about, a specific thing, right? Only when you have an audience already can you go wide. But if if you don't have an audience, it's very hard. So by nature, right, podcasts are niche specific, meaning your expertise. If you sell your expertise, this is the perfect way for someone to go deep with you. Again, it's not meant to build a massive audience. It's meant to go deep and not wide. And so if you feel like you're the best kept secret and you want to talk about the thing that you want to talk about, your audience is waiting for you, right? Is waiting for what you have to do. If you are an expert at soccer, and you want to have a soccer podcast, if you want to talk about, if you are in the fitness niche, right? There's so many fitness podcasts. You can talk about things. There's endless things you can talk about, right? So that is another key reason or the best person to have a podcast is someone who feels like they're the best kept secret. Number 5, if you want consistent content without doing more work, again, going back to my point earlier of repurposing content, this one podcast, I can probably pull out 20, 25 reels, maybe 2 or 3 different YouTube videos from this one simple conversation. So it amplifies my reach and amplifies my reputation. Number 6, if you're tired of chasing after clients, I don't know about you, but I got out of the sales grind because I did not like it. I didn't want to follow up with people, cold call people, chase after people, right? It was draining. It was soul sucking, right? So if you want to stop chasing after clients, you want them to chase after you. You are attractive and people coming into your door, knocking on your door and saying, hey, how can I work with you? And getting DMs like this, then this is a podcast would be perfect for you. Number 7, if you love talking and you struggle with writing, a great habit I've started to do is to write every day. Though I don't feel like I'm a great writer, but the most powerful thing that I've seen is pressing record and talking to a camera, talking to a person. Sometimes it brings out things I could never just think of. Like if I'm sitting there and I'm like, I have to write, I'm thinking too much versus when I'm in flow, like a conversation, my genius just comes out. And if you're anything like me, sitting down with someone asking questions, it pulls out your genius. It pulls out things you never thought. It's like those shower thoughts, right? Where you're not focused on the thing and then genius comes out. Podcasts do that. So if you are like that, this is a perfect way to illustrate and pull out your genius. And the last point, this is perfect for someone who values trust over tricks. So many people struggle with growing their business because they don't focus on the basics. They lack the basics. They look at the quick tactics, the fancy funnels, the ad strategies, and they don't focus on the basics. The basics of business is to build relationships and to get more people to know about you. If you focus on reach and reputation, your traffic and trust, okay? If you focus on those 2 things, you'll never have to worry about money ever again. You'll never have to worry about where your next dollar is coming from, where your next client is going to come from, because your reach and reputation is everything in your business. And so having a podcast on YouTube, which is a video podcast, is going to be the secret unlock to making multiple 6 figures, multiple 7 figures, not only just in a year, but in a month. And there's countless of people I can talk about and why you should start a podcast. Gary Vee, perfect example. He started his show, but he's testing different wines. And that got him on Conan, which helped him grow his dad's liquor store business. And then he started Ask Gary Vee show, which helped him grow his agency. Or Alex Hormozi started The Game, very niche specific, helping gym owners grow their gym businesses. But now he talks about entrepreneurship, marketing, sales, everything. Dan Mortel, he started in the software space and now he does personal branding. He does marketing, he does sales, he does everything, right? He's the Mortel method. That's his show. Daniel Priestley started blowing up recently. The British guy who was on Diary of a CEO. He's been blowing up because of podcasts. There's so many examples I can share on why you should start a podcast and who this is best served for. So to wrap this up, if you want to start your own show, if you're like, wow, this is exactly what I'm looking for, then click on the link in the description because I'm going to have something ready for you to help you start your show. Right? I'm very passionate about this. I've been doing this since 2019. It has honestly changed my life since starting a podcast, since creating content. It is the most practical, actionable, and most simplest thing you can do to grow your business. I believe it's bigger than AI, it's bigger than crypto, it's bigger than all the other things you hear about online. If you can amplify your authentic self, you're going to attract people you never thought possible. Your vibe attracts your tribe. The more you can lean into your vibe and be more authentic, you're going to attract the right people. And whenever I've done that, business has been effortless. Whenever I've tried to do tricks and overthink my way, business has been hard. And so you have to decide, do I want to go down the hard path and have weak marketing where I do fancy funnels, I do follow-ups, I do big teams, I do expensive softwares, or you want to do the easy, you want to do strong marketing, personal branding, pre-selling, attracting and not selling, and have clients come to you and be sold effortlessly? If you want this, click on the link below because I'm going to walk you through how you can launch your own show in less than 30 days. Thank you guys for listening, for watching. Go subscribe, go check out the link. And hey, if you want that, if you think that's of interest to you, this 5-day challenge idea, put in the comments so I know you listened to the whole episode. Thank you guys so much. Take care. See you next week. Peace.